Oh, welcome to The Writer at Work. This is episode 26, and we are working through the beginning of March in another 365 days of poetry as we try to get this book edited and ready for publication. Again, not a lot of changes happening. This is mostly all fresh work that I've worked through, and what we're doing is adding in some of the formatting, but mostly looking for words that might need changing or punctuation. For that, I occasionally kind of read it a little bit out loud to myself so I can hear what it sounds like and just get a feel for the rhythm that's in the words. Try and make it right. So what I'm doing is just editing. So if you're interested in seeing what a writer does and what it looks like when they're at work, feel free to stick around. If you're if you're not, you don't have to. And I'll get into it. I may not talk very much. I might bring up points that I think of along the way, but yeah, mostly this is just me at work. And most of my poems are I try and write them from a fantasy or science fiction perspective. I don't usually write real world poems or speculative. It's just an experiment to see if what sort of verses, or try and think of what kinds of verses would be written by someone in another time or another era or in the fantasy worlds of the books that I write, something like that. And it's a good way that I use to practice word choice, being conscious of what words I use when I'm writing, and to explore new ideas or discover them. Most poems, I don't know what they're going to be when I start. I just start, and then I write them till they're finished. It's called Writing into the Dark. I think Dean Wesley Smith um, talks about it, although he mostly uses it for short fiction. And actually his novels, he doesn't tend to outline. So most of these poems, they're unplanned. They come out of my head, which means that they need a bit of editing every now and then. For those new to the series, the QQs mark where I'm going to be putting italics in, so that when I actually drop this entire document into a text document and take out all the formatting, I can still find where I wanted to put italics. The bolding, it has a set of rules of its own. I generally only bold the titles, so I just have to remember to put those in. It'd be a bit hazardous, but searching for double Q when you're editing a manuscript is much easier than trying to search for double B. So bolding, I just follow the rules. Oh, Villanelle. Okay. I tried different forms of poetry. Shine it on hues, these mighty beasts roam every night, with gleaming horns and dancing hooves, hunters fierce of all their moves. So in these collections, I tend to put a lot of form poetry, and sometimes just original poetry as I felt like writing it. But it's kind of a mixed bag. And always I try and have some kind of genre at angle to it, whether it's fantasy or in this case, something from Greek mythology. It's a garland cinquain. Mirrored garland. Oh, great. I decided not to go easy on myself. Alrighty. Next. For the new to this series, if you're wondering why I put 2 returns between each verse, It's because when you put your book up to be processed into an ebook format, so many of the processes, if you don't have two returns, they won't actually put a space between your lines. So in order for there to be that one space, you need to actually have two returns in your Word document. There are other ways of putting together a document. I just use Word. I'm familiar with it, and I don't really have time to get my head around some of the newer toys. So this is my go-to. Word is my go-to. This island is much more with your bloody escapes and your wars. I'm the time of the wind, running in battle, skirmish plans, the great moves, the small ones, the treacherous hands. Your like will never more be seen, our queen. Our comfort, our only consolation lies in knowing that you stand with us still, unseen and silent, as we seek your will and hold the hearts the words you left. Guard your daughter, let her rise be swift. If you're wondering why I start from the bottom when I add in these, it's so that I don't miss any on the page. Because otherwise they get shunted down onto the next page. A huge snake. Alright, shoes. Pete Roebuck has returned to Johnny's shirt or rumpled neath a dressing gown. His pants, he said, he'd left behind with his camping gear, his trusty horse, and I do surmise the remnants of his mind, for the tale he spins can't be believed by any but the gullible and most easily deceived, and his mouth it runs as the whisky flows from the bored and generous around the bar, who admired the holes in Pete's odd choice of clothes, and listened to his cursed deck tale of snakes that in hoops do roll and unwary prospectors pursue, as the open out there wave through gulps along the dry creek bed where Pete did one, beneath the burning Aussie sun, and who'd believe in this drunken sunlight? Skin his eyes, release the swift release the speed and strikes that as his tender flesh and left, maybe rams in his right as he traces against Alrighty, and on that note, guys, I am going to leave you. Hopefully, when next I record, we will have an entirely new book for you to see me editing. Actually, we might probably be up to the formatting of this one. We'll see how it goes. But if you have any questions about the editing and publishing process of an independent writer and publisher, just drop them down in the comments. And if you like this episode, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And I'll check you later. Take care out there.